Another day, another dollar. Oopsies. So yesterday was finals of Double Down. IBDW took it over Omtha in grand finals. And Fiction got third, Slug got fourth, and there was some drama. But yeah, it was a really sick tournament. During Grands I said, if Amsa wins, then I'm playing Yoshi. And I was sweating there until he SD'd at the end. I was like, oh god, am I about to like what did I just sign up for? But all the same, that happened and was cool. What was not cool was Hungry Box deciding to show up in the venue. After confirming that he was sick and like going to I think he so I don't remember if he went to urgent care or long story short he went to see a doctor immediately when he woke up in the morning and was told that it's either like some kind of like infection, bacterial or otherwise, or it's COVID. Excuse me. Apparently he woke up vomiting blood. Now, I think at that point I would be DQing, you know? Like I think at that point I would say, okay, as much as I may want to play today, it's not just about me, right? Like it's about everyone at the venue and like the scene and like yeah. But alright, whatever, right? So then Hungry What says, well, okay, why don't I just go and get an antigen test? So he gets an antigen test. Test is negative. Now, from this, in his tweet, he put out, it's not COVID. It's not how that works. Like, antigen tests are not, like, a reliable way for us to, like, make the determination that you don't have COVID, especially if this is your first day showing symptoms. Well, whatever, right? Like, regardless of that, I think, even without the antigen test, my thought there is like, ah, shit, like, yeah, regardless of whether or not this is COVID or something else, like, I'm obviously not feeling well, right? And not only am I not feeling well, but there's like a strong possibility that like there's something wrong with me that I could give someone else, and I don't want to do that.
Ready, go!
That would be kind of my priority.
Ready,
But instead,
go!
Hungrybox decided not only that he was going to show up, he's going to show up and compete. And there's like a double whammy here. So, he decides to show up and compete, and presumably, initially, he was also going to do his ultimate commentary spot, because he talked about it in a later tweet when he finally did DQ. So he shows up at the venue and decides to compete, and before his set with SFAT, he decides that because he's having trouble breathing, that he's going to not wear his mask. So, like, I mean, okay. I just don't, I mean, I understand, so, okay. There's, like, several layers to this. So, I understand wanting to play. And I understand wanting to play so badly that I would do something stupid to my own health, right? I get that, right? And you know, we can't let SFAT get top 8. That's just unacceptable. So I understand where Hungrybox is coming from with that. At the same time, no. Like, don't do that. Like wear your mask. Don't be dumb. And if you're not feeling well, don't go to the tournament. It's really that simple. I don't know why it's not that simple for people. Like, a couple of examples, counter examples, right? None, not feeling well, right? Drops out immediately, gets tested, right? Zane, reported this morning, I believe, he was not feeling well and decided he was not going to get on a plane to go to the next tournament in Australia, right? He's going to play things out, he's going to get tested, yada yada yada, right? But then you have players like Hungrybox doing that. Also, I would... this is maybe different. The circumstances of this are different because I don't know. I don't know as much about this as I do about the Hungrybox thing. But supposedly, like, Mango wasn't feeling well, and that's why he DQ'd. But then, like, after the dude DQs, he, like, I don't know, I guess he was feeling better. So then he, like, goes to the tournament anyway. And supposedly, the only thing that he felt was, like, a stomach problem. But again, it's like, why are we allowing these things? Like, why are we taking these risks? Now, a lot of people, rather than shitting on Hungrybox, decided to shit on VGBC. Which to me is very strange, but I guess the logic is like, why was he allowed into the venue, right? That's what they're saying. I don't blame people for not, like, being terminally plugged in to, like, smash Twitter at all times. Like, I feel like it's Hungrybox's responsibility to take care of his health and, like, not endanger people, right? The fact that it was allowed to happen is bad, but it's kind of difficult for me to like give them a ton of shit because it's like, okay. But I don't know. On the other hand, it's like, I don't know. As soon as they figured out this is what was happening, they took him aside. Well, that's not true because they let him play a set. I don't know. It's really hard to know what happened on the like production / TO side, and I would rather not speculate. So I'm just gonna shut the fuck up about it. That being said, it's not entirely clear to me that like you can just wholesale shit on VGBC for this when it's pretty clear that like Hungrybucks is the one who's responsible for like his own shit.
Choose your character.
So that was wild. And poor SFAT. Like SFAT had such a SFAT had such a weird tournament, right? Because he gets to top 16, and he's got Junebug, right? And Junebug says, "I'm DQing so I can go see a fucking magic show." So then he gets into top 12. And he's got HBox. If HBox had DQ'd, then he would have had 2 free rounds of bracket. Oh, but instead Hungrybucks goes, no. I'm gonna play while I'm sick. And he looked, to be clear, like, he did not look well. He looked bad. He looked like he was not having a good time. At all. And like, I want to make it clear that like, I hope he gets better. Right? Like, I'm not saying that like, wow, this guy's like, there are some people who's taken this way too far. And been like, oh, he should be banned, or like, whatever, like that. Like, okay. What you did was dumb and irresponsible, and I'm not a fan of it, but like, chill. So then it's like, regardless of that, there were some like pretty big moments. Amsa noctain into losers, which was a really dope set. And then, you know, you have to play Slug in losers, and Slug eliminated him. So I feel it's interesting because it's like Zane is a player who I feel like it's kind of hard for me to say anything bad about, just based off like antics, his gameplay. He seems like a person. Seems like a human being. I don't like that I can't stall. So I need to practice my stalls on the left side. I think that will be the difference maker to my ledge dashes. Because my stall is so inconsistent on this side, like I can't set up for my ledge dash. And then again, even if I do have a consistent setup like that, so I don't know. I mean, Zane is like, it's funny because he'll post about like being really disappointed in himself. He still consistently plays really well, right? But I guess for him, it's like he's either gonna win or it's like not, or it's nothing. You know what I mean? Like he's the #1 rank, so like everything has to be win. And I don't know. I don't think that's fair. I think that like, you know, he's been like really consistent, and unlike some other players of like a similar rank, you know, like he's not, Zane isn't out here like not making top 8s or something, right? He's consistently making it, then he's running into some challenges with some like matchups and sets, and like you gotta face the reality that like people are getting really good. And not only are they getting really good, they're getting really good against Marth, right? And like certain people who did not have an answer to Zane have answers now, right? Like Levin Sheik was really, really strong. J-Luke Zane twice, right? Like, I don't know. People are starting to figure out how to fight Zane. People are saying that people are figuring out how to fight Moth. I don't know if that's true, because frankly, like, the only top Moths we have right now are, like, you know, Zane, and then there's like a gap, and then it's Ghidorah, right? Worth pointing out, Ghidorah also lost his fight, so it's not exactly like it's, you know, there's no like clear like, oh yeah, this guy is the guy, right? It's, I don't know, there's a lot going on with like the matchup spreads right now, and the characters and everything, so it's really interesting. I don't know if I would say like this, yeah, like some people are saying like, oh, this is the greatest time to watch Melee and stuff. Like, I understand what people are saying when they say that. I don't know if I agree 100%. It's hard to evaluate, because the thing about right now is that you look at the tournaments, right, so you have like Summit 13, which was a really cool tournament. Plop IBW Grands, IBW wins it. You know, Battle of DC, it's like, you know, you have Leffen Zane, Leffen's Sheik just looks dominant. He also got the win on Hungrybox there, right? And then in Gommel, it looks like a bracket where, like, you know, a lot of players could really make some moves. And, you know, it ends up being the case that, like, Hungrybox wins after, you know, beating some stiff competition to get there. Although I wonder about, I don't know. It's kind of hard to, like, feels like if Hungrybox runs into the wrong people, it's like such a different world. But then this weekend he lost to SGK, so I don't even know, right? But that was another. If I'm Hungrybox, I gotta feel bad, because he's had two major like sets this year where like something has happened that has like messed him up pretty bad. In like the last stock situation, so the now it's like we have the narrative around the nun stomp, and we also have the whole Johnny knee. That knee killing at that percent. That was. I just have to wonder like what. I wish we had like input display just so I could see like maybe try and get some sense of like what Hungrybox was trying to do. Sometimes you wonder if it's like a tap jump or whatever. I don't know. Hungrybox DI is like a weird thing. It's really difficult to toss out. I am so sick of this fucking claw shit, by the way. I am so sick of doing it in isolation, doing it out of shield, and then as soon as I try and go for the... like, fuck that. I hate this shit so much. The alternative is you just never shine out of shield, which... it's like a bad idea. Maybe I should accept that this character does not fit my hands. The fact, by the way, that there are people who can do the Z to X is... that's just mind-blowing to me. Like, it's actually insane. I guess what I need to do is just practice doing this more. Make it like two separate actions. Because even that is not as consistent as I would like it. I'm telling you, dude, Z-jump is the way of the future. Because, I don't know, just having to claw random shit is just really dumb. Imagine if we lived in a world where there was a different, where there was like a, oh my gosh. If they went with like the Wii U / Switch configuration, where there's a ZR and a ZL. Just imagine if we lived in that world. That would be crazy. But they would probably do something stupid and make that also grab or something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Knowing HAL Laboratory. Or do something stupid like that. But that's the, I don't know, that's the thing about it, I guess. Although, I mean, it would make it would make things interesting, because then it would be like, you know, I wonder how that would impact like the Z-jump stuff. Because then people could have that, and then they could have something else on the shoulder. I wonder what would be useful there. I feel like almost any, just being able to, man, like, being able to have access to the stick and another button at the same time on the same hand without having to change your grip would be super, super strong. And we know this because Z-jump, right? Like, being able to have access to a jump button that's not, you know, related to your right thumb is super strong as well. It's so funny to me that there are things that I can do with this character that are, like, genuinely difficult, but, like, okay, I guess I can't ledge dash, sorry guys, but it's funny to me how, like, I can zero death you on FD, but I can't laser you twice. I need to, like, farm the angle on,
Hiya!
yeah, that's not gonna work. We might be in the closing days of the Fox arc. I know it's only been 11 days, but, like, I just don't physically see how I'm gonna be able to do this without, like, something really painful. The thing I don't talk, so I do claw for one of my aerial stuff, and you'd think, oh, just claw your double aces. It's really uncomfortable. So, like, there's like two different kinds of claw. There's like claw where you only move your index finger over and you keep your middle finger on the shoulder trigger, which is what I do most of the time. And I just do that so that I can get instant full aerial stuff going. But there's like, kind of like the, I guess you could call it the full claw, and this is what I do when I play Puff. So on this one, my middle finger is on the Z button, and then my ring finger is on the trigger. This is like 10 billion times more comfortable. The only problem is the jump squat on this is like, it's, oh god, it really is not manageable. Whereas like on the index one, your finger isn't as far over the button. Like, when I do full claw, my finger is on the left edge of the button. When I do just the shift, it's on the right corner of the button. So it makes doing like this a lot easier. But for some reason, like everything else, anytime I try and combine my button presses, it makes it way more difficult. And the other issue is the way that I do the short hop is I flick my index finger off, which then moves my hand, and it's just really uncomfortable. Like, I feel like I'm rocking my hand into it, and it's like I'm twisting my wrist. It just feels fucking awful. So I think I would just have to like grind out the tap jump stuff. But I hate the tap jump stuff because it's just like it feels really inconsistent to me. The alternative, I guess, would be like a slide, but then the strain on my wrist from making that slide that fast is just way too much. So I have no fucking clue. I have no idea what to do about that. I have to like look up what people's methods are. I can't think of any other way to do it that will not be painful. And to be quite honest with you, if I can't do that, if like there's a physical limitation for a tech, then like I'm just not gonna play the character. Like I never ever want to run into that in tournament where it's like, oh, I could have been lasering, but because they were on the right side, I just didn't. Or I only did the single laser because, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to do that. Just another reason. This is why I'm pro box, by the way. You can't tell. Having to deal with the physical limitations of a controller and having it being forced upon you because people are freaked out about the fact that you can be more technical on one controller versus another is really fucking stupid. People are like complaining that you can do pivot up tilts and you can do pivot up tilts on fucking GCC. I don't know. I love the scene, but I hate the scene. I think if I ever get good, I'm just gonna be like the anti-esports guy, and people are gonna hate me for it, but... I'm just like so not interested in people's personal lives. But then at the same time, it's like their personal lives like leak out on the social media, and we see like I think we just like see too much at a distance that's uncomfortable. Like I'm sure if I met these people in real life, it'd be fine, right? But then it's like you see the shit that they say on social media and how they act on social media without the context of them as a human being, and it just like doesn't translate well. And you can tell, because like in my, in the Colorado Discord server, which I probably shouldn't be in, it's my own mental health, like it's just people like relentlessly shit talk certain players for what feels like very dumb reasons. There's like a really big anti-IBDW circle jerk going on in Colorado. A really big anti-Ginger circle jerk going on. I just don't understand it. Like I don't know. Maybe I'm just too dumb, or I lack the proper context for this stuff. But it just kind of seems strange to me. But like, I don't know. I don't get it. Like, unironically, the amount of vitriol that some people put into certain players is ridiculous. Like, somebody was in the Discord last night when when Onset SD and Cody won. Cody like reacted to the SD and was like, this sucks. And then he put his hands on his head like a little bit later. And someone in the Discord was like, oh yeah, Cody got up to celebrate, saw that no one was clapping, and only then he could start feeling bad for Hamza. And I'm like, dude, like, why would you even say that? Like, it's publicly visible. Like, we can check the tapes and see that he was just reacting to SD. You don't have to, like... Wait, do you think... I don't know, it's so dumb. It's like, do you actually think Cody was celebrating an SD? Like, calm the fuck down. And even if he was, like, why do you care that much? It's just stupid. And then other people were like, oh yeah, classic Cody moment. And I'm like, what? What? Like, Hunger Monks is out here risking the health and safety of people at the venue, and you're out here complaining about Cody getting upset about an SD. Like, what the fuck? God. I wish we just, we just need to all chill, okay? Can everyone just take a chill pill? We stop hating on people. Just chill. And this is where you get into, like, the fandom aspect of it, right? Which is the one thing I also cannot stand. I see these posts on Twitter. The most cringe shit. And it's not localized to any one player. It's every player has these fucking... just obsessed people. Like... like, I'm pretty sure these people could just, like, kill someone. And they'd be like, well, you know, that guy deserved it. Whoever, you know, like, like, unironically. It's so fucking strange to me. I just don't, I don't know. Maybe it's a problem with me, you know? Maybe it's maybe I need help. You know? But that shit just cannot be healthy. That level of obsession with, like these people are good at a video game. Like, I don't know. Why would you want to make that an aspect of your personality? You'd be like, I just like, I don't know. Maybe this is just like a thing that, like, I don't get because I play the game because I like the game and I want to get better at it. Or it feels like there are people who play the game as, like, a social thing. I don't know. The social aspect of Melee for me is I don't know, it's not really there. Like, it's hard to explain, but, like, I don't know. I'm an introverted person by nature, I guess. I'm very, like, cagey about friendships and stuff. So for me, it's like, if you're friends with me, it's because I like you. And if we're not friends, you'll know it. Not because I'll be like, you're not so bitch, because we might know. You know, people who, like, go into the scene and say, oh yeah, this is my family. I'm like, I get it. I understand that feeling. I don't know. I guess, like, like, there were players in the Boulder scene who I never hung out with, I was never, like, really friends with. But, like, you know, Connor, Seth, and Connor, and Armand are, like, my boys. So is Ethan. But those people were I mean, like, Ethan is a special case because he's the one who, like, got me into the whole thing in the first place. But, like, there were times where I hung out with everyone else in that group that had nothing to do with Smash. They were just cool people that I wanted to hang out with. You know what I mean? It's really weird. It's like, it's not even like a game thing. It's just like, oh yeah, you're a cool person, I enjoy spending time with you. I guess what I would say is, like, the social aspect of Smash sometimes, it feels like people are friends because they play Melee. Whereas I feel like a more healthy approach is to, like, find friends through Melee. But understand that not everyone who plays Melee is your friend, if that makes sense. But again, that could just be me, and, like, the way that I see things. is different than the way that other people. So I don't know. It just seems kind of wild to me that someone could be like that invested in like, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's like similar to sports teams, right? Like there are some people who will literally physically injure other people because of their sports team affiliation. So I don't know, maybe it's like that. Another thing tangentially related to that I see a lot in the Discord. People need a reality check about like the relative skill level of our team. Like, you know, people talk about seeding at majors and like, oh yeah, you can do this, you can beat this player, beat that player. No. Like, it's really funny to me. It's like people in our scene are resting their ego on whether or not one of our better players can like can beat other players. It's so weird to me. Like you should just be trying to like instead of spending like I get if you think that Fizz is your friend and you're just trying to like support your friend, that's cool. I'm happy for you. You know what I mean? That's good. And I'm sure Evan would appreciate that support. Totally fine. But if you're like basing your worth as a player or a member of this region on whether or not Fizz can beat, you know, KJH in a best of 5 set, I have bad news for you. KJH is a better player. Like, I'm sorry. Like right now, that's just facts. Like, Evan is a good player. There's no doubt about that. Right? And you can say like, you can say a lot about that. Like, what does that even mean? Right? Like, but here's the truth about Colorado. Okay? We have. Let me think about this. On the scale of like people who are actually worth giving a shit about, like let's say that you're like a good player from another region is coming to our state. They realistically only have to worry about 4, maybe 5 people. No, probably only 4 people. Right? And like, if this isn't evidenced by the fact that multiple times people have moved to Colorado from other states and then instantly been like in contention for like top spots, like Eichelman. Okay, like, okay, you could argue that Eichelman, who's now banned, right, at his peak, was probably like right outside the top 100. He just showed up and started winning almost everything. And then like a couple players like gave him trouble later on down the line, whoop-de-doo, right? But like, this region was pretty free. Then DD shows up. I'm pretty sure D's, I don't remember, I think D's SoCal, right? D shows up, and like, as far as I'm aware, it doesn't mean like I don't know where you put DD in like the grand scheme of SoCal rankings, but like, clearly not at the top end, right? And then shows up and he's like winning shit, like right out of the bat. Like, it's just not a good look for our scene, right? And you could say that about a lot of places, right? I'm not saying that like, oh, but like, I feel like people are like vastly overestimating the strength of our scene. Like bro. Like, okay, here's a list for you. Right? Tri-State is better than ours. Texas is better than ours. SoCal, NorCal, Washington, Midwest, Florida, obviously. All better than our scene. We're like a mid-tier scene. Possibly lower. It's hard to say. Okay. When Zealot shows... Okay. When Anthony shows up and is just slapping everyone around, like, come on. Like, I mean, I don't know. I just think people need to get, like, some of our best players make mistakes that are, like, easily identifiable mistakes. The number of times I've watched Evan do, okay, two things. I'll talk about Evan specifically because I know she well enough to do so. I'm not comfortable with Fox to talk about secrets of Zelda. So I'll just talk about Evan. Okay? Number of times I've watched Evan do something, go for like, okay, two things. He drops like, he goes for shit off of like, okay, this is like oddly specific, but this is the kind of shit that like is a difference maker. So against fast fallers, at like mid to high percent, I'll watch him go for like, you know, the up tilt into move, and on several occasions, he'll just go for the nair. And it's like, you could have killed him with up smash. You could have put him off stage with forward air. And he just goes for this like limp dick nair. And it's like, yeah, sure, the nair does more damage. Just kill him. Like I've watched just like in the KDH set, I'm pretty sure there were two places where I could have been like hit plus an up smash and a kill. During his other set that was on stream against the I don't want to say it wrong, but it was another Fox player. And like, dude, again, like obviously the SDs or whatever, like that happens to people sometimes, and that makes a difference in sets. It really does. But you can't be like, you can't be telling me like, I don't know. He's just dropping like dumb punish stuff at that point. Where it's like you could just be killing them, but instead you're like extending, trying to. I don't know if he's trying to extend the combo and he's just like messing it up or what. It's just like just kill him, right? It would be like if I had this Falco at like 110 and I up through, and he DI'd away. Instead of up smashing, I just like back him. It's like why even give him the chance? Just kill him. Like, just up smash him. And then he'll do this shit. Two other things, since I'm here. Two other things. Number one, bro, needling recovery is good, but if you short how needle a platform or the stage instead of off stage one more time, I'm gonna like scream. I'm gonna throw my monitor through my window. Like, it looks like muscle memory. You need to like look into that. Okay, you need to look into like, why are you needling me? Like, and it'll be in moments where it's like, it's obvious the needle's not gonna hit. And I just don't know what you're throwing the needle out for. And it's really weird because other times you're off stage and like really strong. And I would argue that it's actually what allows you to get a really big advantage with some of these like bad matchups. And you perform really well. But then for some reason you'll give up like coverage of high angles just to go for this like stupid needle every time. Like, you don't have to do that. You can do other stuff. It's okay. And then the third thing is fishing. This is just like a bad habit that a lot of people have. But bro, when they're at high percent, all like, oh my god, your neutral goes from good to shit real fast. Holy crap. My man, he goes from like moving well, baiting out stuff, messing up his aerial timings, yada yada, to just like the same fares, like trying to catch people out like bears, run off platform stuff, like, oh my gosh, it's like so one-dimensional. And it's really frustrating because like if you just kept, or like fishing for down smashes, like, you don't need to do that. Just keep playing neutral. You were like, if they're at high percent, you got openings, you won neutral enough. Like, I don't understand that, right? It's just, I don't know, frustrating. And I'm sure that like, you know, a Fox player of higher skill and or knowledge than me could probably point out some issues with like our other players, right? But like, my point is that like people just kind of need to chill with like the overall skill assessment of our scene. Like, no offense, like, but like, I don't know. You either need to expand, like, okay, either I need to expand my notion of good, or people need to chill the fuck out. Like, there's people who thought that, like, Zealot was gonna be S2J, based off of what, exactly? Like, there's people who thought that, like, Evan was gonna be KJH, based off what? I don't know. Right, again, like... Oh god. That KJH set? Bro, Evan. The landings. He's never gonna watch this, I don't know why I'm... But the landings. How many times Evan goes for a landing move and it gets up smashed in that set? I mean, come on, man. Like, you're too good to be doing that shit. It's like free damage against you. Why are you giving KJH free damage? He doesn't need it. Like, you don't need to be giving out freebies, dude. Whatever, it won't matter. He can see this. Oh yeah, here's another one. ESJ. Bro. How can you be that good at doubles and that ass at same? I mean, I know that like Puff is a character that's like weird because she's better in doubles, in theory. She might be like, I don't know if I say she's the best character in doubles, but she's obviously like much better. But I mean, I say that, but like, dude, Prince Abu fucking won doubles and then didn't make it out of his fucking pool. So what the fuck do I know? I guess. I should just kill him there. Like, I don't know. I just think we need to be more realistic about like the quality of our scene and like what we could do to be better and shit. Like, our stream is not good, and like some things are just like not streamed, and like certain tournaments are just kind of like free for some people, and like we don't do anything about that. And it feels weird because like our scene is very like fragmented. It feels like. Like, it's dumb that I don't know. Oh yeah, and fucking Boulder. The fact that Boulder just like doesn't exist outside of school, that's some dumb shit right there. Is there really nowhere in Boulder where you can get a venue? And I know what the problem is, right? The problem is nobody wants to do this TOE shit, because it really does suck.
Training mode. Protocol.
I don't blame people who don't want to do it. It's just really unfortunate. Also, Boulder venues. Holy. Okay, never mind. Because I remember when I think it was me and Connor we won it. Like we were trying to find a venue for like a monthly that wasn't like CU related because we were worried about. I don't remember why specifically that. But I called so many places in Boulder have really stupid events policies, and they just like won't work with you. You'll say like, oh yeah, well, we want this to be like a regular thing, right? And so we're going to come like some kind of special arrangement since it's like going to be a regular thing, right? We don't want to like pay the event event is ridiculously high event fee if all we're doing is just like bringing bodies in, people can buy stuff every week. It's like no fucking like pay the event fee. It was really dumb because like eventually it was like, okay, there's nowhere else we can do this except CU, and then it's like, oh, we have to have someone who's like, even if they don't go to club, you have to like have them be the president of a fucking club. It's just so dumb. God. It blows my mind that we could never find a venue that's up to that. But Bowler is also just kind of like unfriendly for that shit. It's fine. It is what it is. It just really sucks because I hate. It's just really frustrating. Like, will she be able to pull off 3 weeklies a week and consistent monthlies? But like TOing, it sucks. Like straight up. People don't know how like people think of TOs as just like you just like swim in money or whatever. It's, okay, buddy. You're living in La La Land. It's one of those things where like it sucks for everyone. It's like venues, right? Venues have to pay rent. And Boulder rent is no fucking joke. Denver rent is no fucking joke. So unless there's like an esports cafe or some shit willing to work with your dumbass, or a game store is willing to work with your dumbass, you're kind of fucked. Right? It's just frustrating. And look at other scenes, like, the infrastructure is just so insanely good. And that might just be because, you know, some people get like venue hookups or whatever. But it's, I don't know, it's just frustrating. The fact that Tri-State has better weeklies than we do, dude. It's just fucking sad. Midwest has better shit going on. Fucking everywhere has, like, it's so funny. Like, people talk about like how do you make the scene better? The answer is like better tournaments, better streams, better. It's like infrastructure. But then it's like, no, we just don't have good players or whatever. It's some stupid shit. Whatever. I guess I'd have to like name it. This is becoming a common theme for me in box, where I feel like I just have no idea what
Training mode.
Yeah. Mamma mia. I don't know about the infrastructure of online tournaments either. Because I can't enter them. Because my internet's too shit and I'm on Wi-Fi. Gotta love rural fucking Berkeley. Because I do wonder if online tournaments eat into the offline experience now. Because it's so much more convenient. If you have good internet and you live far away, you enter an online tournament, it's pretty sick. And then you have like your Slippy replays, you don't have to worry about like, you know, the fact that there's no fucking stream. Or even just recording. Shit, dude, like, even just having a recording is huge step up. So I don't know. But like even, man, I can talk about all this stuff because I've done it all. Streaming and recording is also, it's so shitty. I've had CU tournaments where I literally was TOing and streaming and playing, and it's just you will suck at some aspect of it. And because like I mean, some people will probably fuck up the tournament so that they can play in it. Some people will probably fuck up the stream so that they can, you know, TO the tournament. For me, it was always I fucked up my playing so that I could. Like for me, my #1 priority was always making sure tournaments ran well, because that was what always had like the most impact on the most people. But it really sucked because then it was like in a perfect world, you'd have someone who's like willing to do the streaming stuff and like put time and energy and resources into it. But it sucks because there's no. What's the? I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is like, what's the incentive or the kickback for that besides just like people appreciating you somewhat? There really isn't one. And it sucks because I would love to have like, you know, a weekly VOD dump of matches so that we have like a database, right? And you can just say like, oh yeah, this match happened. Here's that specific match. Instead of people having to like wade through massive like stream VODs to find their matches and shit, or it just adds an air of like professionalism and like people giving a shit. Same with the tournaments where it feels like I'd have to go and see how they're being run. But I don't know. Like a well-run tournament is a thing that you can just do if you know how to do it. But I feel like people just don't give a shit about it at weeklies, which is understandable. But for me, it's like, if your weeklies run badly and your monthlies, I don't know. You should be committed to like having well-run shit in general. Because I feel like your weekly, for me, right? Weeklies are practice not just for players, but for TOs and streamers. If your weeklies aren't running well, then how the fuck are you gonna tell me you can run a monthly well? Like managing multiple pools or managing a large bracket, and then also having like your, yeah, I don't know, it's not a good goal. Where people who, they start having pools for shit they don't need to. Like okay, classic example. I would not run pools until I had 64 people or more in my bracket. But people will run pools with like 40 some entrants, and they're like, oh yeah, well then people get more sets. Motherfucker, just have an amateur bracket. like have an amateur bracket. I don't know, is that bad? And you're like, oh, but then you're just doing the same thing that you would do with pools anyway. And then people of similar skill get to play more, instead of like top players having to play people who are not at their level. Like, I don't know. Similarly skilled players playing is more valuable than like people with massive skill differentials playing. Generally speaking. That's why I felt bad for Ethan that he had to play a week or so. I used to literally just like hang out with him for like hours. We would play for like 4 or 5 hours, and he would just body me for 4 or 5 hours. I'm gonna keep going actually on this because highway shines are not really good today. And it's like, yeah, so I feel bad for him for that. But yeah, like, I don't know. I feel like I would just run the bracket normally. So like, yeah, you got 65th, like, or 64th or whatever, like, get fucked. But keep in mind, like, there's an amateur bracket for the O2ers. Like, if half the people go out in O2 and there's an amateur bracket, sick. Or you could do like a ladder, right? Like anything other than fucking pools. I hate pools so much. unless you have like a whole shitload of people that need to be organized, and you have like seating problems or whatever. I fucking hate pools. I hate this notion of like having to play like 4 matches and then reseeding it into like a final bracket. And that's the thing about a big bracket. When you do big bracket, you can literally just see who's gonna play who and who's projected, and like you can prevent like regional matchups from happening more comfortably, right? Like you just, I don't know, the brackets will be higher quality, typically speaking. But people aren't ready for that conversation because people are like, oh, I like playing more matches in my tournament runs. Instead of just like, fucking run an amateur bracket or a buster bracket, whatever. And it's so much easier to run a bracket than it is to run like pools with multiple phases of bullshit. The only other exception would be if you had to do things at different times, like for scheduling purposes. I've done that before. I did that for one tournament, and I still hated it. Because then it was like, oh, now we have to reseed everything again, because now it's like, you know, Joe Schmo and his practice partner playing in round 1 because we didn't fucking check our pools, and then people get mad if it's like, oh, this person who got 2nd place in their pool but is like 3rd seed of a tournament got a higher seed than somebody who got 1st on their pool and shit. It's like, I don't know, the whole thing is just such a fucking mess. So I don't blame people who don't want to do it. But whatever. It doesn't matter. I can't even fucking go to tournaments right now. I wish I could. I hate everything. Shoutouts to having That's disgusting. If you ever land that in a tournament, you're a bad person. I feel bad for me. Imagine you pick a character that doesn't get comboed, right? And then somebody walks up to you and does a 0 to 70. And you DI'd something wrong. Ouch. Why do I keep doing that? I'm not doing it here. Oh, yeah. I just need to do more wave shines, I guess. Ay, ay, ay.